Today on the UnHack channel with me, Drex DeFord.
For every bone density analysis that we're doing, it used to take 20 minutes. So now 3 minutes, that means we're saving 17 minutes that the radiologist then can spend on much more productive and even more important, readings.
I'm Drex DeFord, President of Cybersecurity and Risk at This Week Health and the 229 Project. Our mission is healthcare transformation powered by community. Welcome to UnHack, where we navigate healthcare security challenges together because cyber safety is patient safety. Let's get started. Hey everyone, it's Drex. Welcome to UnHack Podcast. Always exciting to have amazing guests with me today. Today I've got Gordon and Mary. And Gordon, why don't you start? Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, Drex, good to see you. Mary, good to see you again. We saw each other earlier this week. I'm Gordon Groschl. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer at Texas Children's. I also have responsibility over healthcare technology management. That's other organizations call that biomed. A pretty large team, and been in healthcare now almost 20 years. And before then, I was 10 years in telecommunications and a few years in the Austrian military. And I'm excited to be here and chat about cybersecurity.
Hi, Mary. Why don't you introduce yourself for everyone who's listening?
Great, thanks. I am Mary Dickerson. I am the Chief Information Security Officer for UTHealth Houston. UTHealth Houston is an institution that has over 150 clinics, but then we also have an academic and a research mission that we execute through 7 different schools, everything from a medical school to a dental school to a school of behavioral health and sciences. And we also have a school of biomedical informatics. So we have everything that ranges throughout healthcare and again, on the academic and research side as well. I've been at UTHealth Houston for 3 years. Before that, I was 25 years at the University of Houston system, where they also have academics and research and healthcare as their core missions. However, it's a very different split. So at University of Houston, they do academics and research, and oh yes, they also do healthcare. At UTHealth Houston, they do healthcare, and oh yeah, they also do academics and research. So it's been fun after 25 years in one institution doing a variety of different roles to now change to UTHealth Houston and get to do all of it in a very different and exciting way. I'm enjoying the experience. I've really enjoyed getting to know Gordon and all the great work that he's doing at Texas Children's. Slightly different missions in what we do, but very much the same strategy as to how to go about trying to deal with it successfully. So it's been a great partnership, spending time with Gordon and learning from all of his expertise and forging a new adventure of my own.
Hey, Gordon, you have research too, right?
Yes, yeah. Texas Children's actually has a pretty, I would say, elaborate research arm. So we partner with Baylor College of Medicine, those where we get all of our physicians. And so many of the, I would say, researchers that work at Texas Children's come from Baylor, and it's a close partnership. And we're definitely continue to expand that. We just were awarded a large grant, a multi-million-dollar grant related to research. So we're very excited about it. And we invest actually quite a bit of, I would say, technology, energy to truly enable our researchers to really drive forward pediatric care.
When I was at Seattle Children's, we had a research institute too. One of the biggest challenges I think I ever had was trying to figure out how to operate across the hospital and the research institute, and helping the docs who are in the hospital and also who are researchers be able to get to one side and the other side and do it simply. I'll start with you, Mary. What's your thinking around that? How do you try to solve that puzzle today?
So we actually have a lot of it integrated within itself. So we have physicians that are providing clinical services and also doing research at the same time. So our challenge is to make sure that we do have very dedicated spaces for the research to occur in, while at the same time having that same individual with access on the clinical side as well to the service of their patients. One of our biggest challenges right now is dealing with a lot of the federal and the state mandates that have come down regarding research security and compliance requirements on those ends. We've always felt the understanding that research needs to be protected, but going to the lengths that the federal government would like us to go to with respect to foreign influence and things like that has made it a little bit more challenging to separate the research space from the clinical space when so many of the items are integrated in their concepts.
From my time at Seattle Children's, you want that integration to happen, right? That whole, how do we get the research from the bench to the bedside as quickly as possible
Right.
is really important. But Mary makes a great point about a lot of these research grants come with security requirements that you have to adhere to. How are you thinking through that process?
Yeah, what we did, and I think I'm not saying it solves all the problems, but I think it solves some of our problems. We built out a fully compliant public cloud environment for our researchers. It's almost like a Lego build kit where they get access to, I would say, capabilities. The data is already there. It's all secured and HIPAA compliant and compliant with CFR 21 Part 11. And it allows the researchers then to do their work in that, I would say, environment that is completely segregated from our operational environment and play around and do preparatory research and come up with, look at data that would then lead to any kind of research protocol that they want to execute. And that really has allowed us to, I would say, increase the velocity, what's happening in the research space, make it easier for them rather than what was happening before, which was like every time a researcher wanted data, they had to go to a front door and ask, and then there's other reviews and approvals. So I think this was a fundamental shift, and using public cloud for that has allowed us to really build on a very solid and secure foundation. So that we get these guardrails where it's okay, I want my environment to be completely compliant, and it really accelerates the whole process.
This idea of building a structure that is secure but agile, so you can turn up the volume when there's new requirements. And that applies to things like M&A too. Being able to expand when you need to accommodate what the business, clinical, or research leaders needs turns out to be pretty critical.
Yeah, it's super important that you build, I would say, pre-approved pathways almost. Think about it like blueprints, and then you say, okay, as long as you're navigating within that blueprint, things are going to happen fast, right? If you leave the blueprint, this is where we need more due diligence, right? More preparation, more work, everything gets much longer. And I think it's a way of helping researchers and motivate them, right, to use the blueprint, the path that you're laying out for them, versus going their own path and everything is unique and special, and therefore we have to investigate and risk assessment and security configuration reviews, right, et cetera. So building those pre-approved pathways really helps, I think, accelerate the researchers. And when it comes to research, things move fast, right? And it's much more dynamic than, let's say, patient care, where it's all about reliability, making sure the services are available, they're up, the data has the right level of integrity, the security is there, but it's all about fringeless access and availability in the patient care space.
I would agree with that. I would also say that the key to defining those pathways that make sense is building the relationship between the information security team and those researchers. So we actually
100%.
have a team that they go out and individually meet with each researcher to discuss what they're doing, what they want to accomplish. And then we work with them to make sure that those pathways, as Gordon described, they are the fast track. They're not every researcher as a unique snowflake, but we are making sure that as we build those pathways, we're not doing it in a vacuum. So they want to work with us because we've built something that they agree with, that they understand, and that meets their needs. I think one of the big traps that we in the information security world get is we decide what we think the right answers are and expect that other people are just going to agree with us. And that's not always the case. But by having that dialogue, by building that relationship, then everybody wins. And I think that's really the key to success, especially in this space.
That's great. When you have these conversations, some of them, I didn't mean to make this kind of all about research and the research healthcare delivery system overlap, but we've gone down this road. So I want to ask one more question, Mary. A lot of these grants, a lot of these research projects extend across multiple institutions too. How do you handle that?
We've had a lot of conversations with the other institutions. Just recently, we're doing a collaboration with one of the major hospital systems in the medical center, and we've had direct conversations between their information security team and our team to say, okay, this is what we're looking at. This is what the research side is saying that they want. What are your feelings on it? And so we come up with an agreement as to how the technology should work. And then we go back to the researchers saying, hey, this is what we've come up with. Will this work for what you need? And it's having all of those conversations, which can be very time intensive. But if you invest the time at the beginning, number one, you avoid a lot of pitfalls later, but you also come up with a very workable research collaboration that we've found not only extends in that particular research project space, but it extends to other research projects that they will ultimately decide to do later. Because when one research collaboration is successful, you get the snowball effect of, oh, could we do this? And could we do this? And so investing the time up front to have those conversations, to come up with something that really is workable, ends up being a good investment on everybody's part.
A couple of good lessons there, I think. Go slow to go fast,
Yes.
because then you don't have to go back and fix all the things because you went fast. You don't have to deal with that. And the other part, Gordon, is the create the path of least resistance. Make it really easy to do the right thing and make it really difficult to do what turns out maybe to be the wrong and insecure thing.
Agreed.
I want to ask another question, break from that and head in another direction. What is one of the coolest projects that you've worked on recently? And what's the effect that it's had? What's some of the return that it's had? It's always interesting to ask this question because sometimes the answers are all over the place.
Yeah, that is a great question. And I could tell you now all about the wonderful cybersecurity program things that we're doing, but I'll pick something completely different. One of the coolest things that my team was part of recently is we built a custom large language model that assesses or calculates bone density. And so basically, we're sending basically X-ray images from our PACS environment to a custom trained LLM that then looks at the X-ray image and measures basically the density of your bone and then returns a result to the radiologist. And the cool thing about this is that a radiologist typically it takes 20 minutes to do that if they do it by hand. And if they sit there in the dark room on the big screen, right? And if they do and they draw, they put these marks on the X-ray and then measure it like in all kinds of angles. It takes roughly 20 minutes per reading. The AI does it in under 3. So think about it, like for every bone density analysis that we're doing, it used to take 20 minutes. So now 3 minutes, that means we're saving 17 minutes that the radiologist then can spend on much more productive and even more important readings. And we do quite a bit of those. We have one of the largest radiology practices, pediatric practices in the US. And so we do not just see our own X-rays, like from patients that come to Texas Children's, we have other hospitals sending us images that we're looking at as well from throughout Texas and sometimes even beyond. And that was a really cool project. And there was a lot of cybersecurity involved, and it's artificial intelligence, it's large language models, but our data scientists and our AI team, they did a phenomenal job. So it was very exciting.
I mean, it's, and it's fairly easy math to do. If you're giving them back 17 minutes times however many times they're doing this in a day or a month, or that's a massive amount of time back in their bank.
Yes. And at the end of the day, it's also, it creates revenue, right? If I can do something faster, then I can basically focus on other more, I would say, valuable, not only like patient care valuable activities, but I can also generate more revenue. And radiology is a big revenue driver for Texas Children's. Yeah. So we're very excited about it.
Mary, I'm going to ask you the same question. What's one of the coolest things you've worked on lately that you'd like to talk about?
So I'm going to give a totally different answer than Gordon's approach. So I'm actually going to focus on the people instead of the technology. So I've been at UTHealth now for 3 years. And one of the things that we've done is we've tried to look very carefully at our team and what skill sets and stuff we have and how to evolve the team in ways that we can more effectively meet the mission of the university. And so one of the things that has come up with our discussions and working with our managers and such is that everyone talks about identity being the new perimeter, but a lot of people are not fully integrating that into how their security operations center is working. So what we did was we had a traditional security operations team that did incident response, firewalls, all the things you would typically associate with security operations. And we had a separate team that did identity and access management and all the things that you would typically associate with authentications and things like that. What we did was we actually merged those two teams together. We split the SOC out as a separate group that only does SOC activities, but everyone else does identity and security operational task. And so by merging those teams together and refocusing the different pieces, we really have gone to identity is our perimeter. That's the first thing that we look at when we have a potential compromised account. That's the first thing that we look at in our research environments to make sure we do have things secure and such, is we look at that. Well, by positioning our team that way, we've really approached how we're handling all of our security operations in a different perspective. And that different perspective is giving us a little bit of an advantage in dealing with the constant evolving threats, the fact that they're coming at us much faster, much more comprehensive. We now have this integrated team that can look at it in that way. So it's still in progress. So stay tuned for what benefits we've actually seen from it. But in the meantime, it really has given our team a different perspective in addressing the problems everyone's facing.
Okay, that's it for today. I'm going to stop it here. We're going to play the rest of the episode next week. It's such a great conversation. I just didn't and couldn't cram it all into one. So see you here next week.